tenen cap culpa d'haver nascut a Palestina. Els nens o nenes o pares o mares o àvies que han nascut allà, nosaltres no decidim on naixem.
But you do choose your actions. And if you go to your neighbor, you invade, murder, massacre, and take 250 people hostage, an activity that many civilians took part in, that you are responsible for. Pep Guardiola, the legendary football manager of Manchester City, has been promoting very strongly on social media the friendly football match between Catalonia and Palestine. Of course, Barcelona, the club he played for and managed, is in Catalonia, so he has a personal stake in this, but he has said some very, very incendiary remarks against Israel in this supposedly good-willed friendly match. Take a look.
Barcelona, ciutat de pau, acull dimarts a l'Estadi Olímpic el partit de la Selecció Nacional de Catalunya amb la Selecció Nacional de Palestina. És molt més que un partit. És un clam a la solidaritat, en homenatge als més de 400 esportistes palestins que han sigut assassinats a Gaza. Omplim l'estadi.
More than 400 Palestinians assassinated, murdered by Israel, as if Israel is going and intentionally looking for footballers in Gaza to kill. That is already extremely problematic. The second thing that's very problematic is the fact that this match is supposed to, all the proceeds are going to be aid that is going into Gaza, and Hamas still has control of Gaza and hasn't given down its arms, haven't laid down their arms. So all that aid is just going to go into the hands of Hamas. We're going to use it to wage another war against Israel. So it's a bit of an own goal that you are scoring there, Guardiola. But the thing is that he said something a lot more incendiary afterwards, on the day of the match, or one day before the match. Take a look.
No, que què m'imagino? Imagino que els hem deixat sols. El primer que sempre que imagino en aquests darrers anys el que passa amb el poble de Palestina és que el món sencer els ha deixat sols. Però jo m'imagino la gent allà esperant que moguem un dit, que algú faci alguna cosa i que ningú hem fet absolutament res. Ells no tenen cap culpa d'haver nascut a Palestina. Els nens o nenes o pares o mares o àvies que han nascut allà, nosaltres no decidim on naixem.
But you do choose your actions. And if you go to your neighbor, you invade, murder, massacre, and take 250 people hostage, an activity that many civilians took part in, that you are responsible for.
I que hagi, des de ja fa molt de temps, hem permès tots nosaltres que han destruït tot un poble, perquè diuen, no és un genocidi, ja m'explicaran què és. La gent que...
It's a war, man. A war.
Pensa que no ho és, els hem deixat abandonats de pare i mare, que deia la mare. I em sembla que és un gest molt més que simbòlic, que puguin pensar que com va ser fa uns dies a Euskadi a Sant Mamés i demà aquí a Catalunya, que com avui se sap tot i la gent que està allà patint el que estan patint, podran saber que hi ha una petita part del món a Catalunya, com va ser el País Basc, que pensen en ells i que és un gest evidentment simbòlic, però que a vegades comença per aquí. El mal ja està fet, que és irreparable, perquè quan veiem les imatges que tothom ho veiem, ells ens veuen nosaltres i nosaltres ho veiem a ells, no sé què dir, almenys que puguin pensar que això, que durant un temps estem allà i que l'estadi fa goig i que està tot ple, i que no està fent tan sols per un dia, no? Per uns dies no ens hem tan sols. Això és sempre m'ha pensat des que tot això va esclatar.
Molta gent dirà que efectivament aquest partit és un gest humanitari, però és també simbòlic. Més enllà del partit estem vivint una època on tot dura 10 segons perquè es mira, o 15 a través del TikTok, però clar, no sé quin pes creus que tenen avui els símbols en un món on tot es mou tan ràpid.
Sí, només és simbòlic en res. Totalment en res. Simbologia ajuda per posar alerta, per estar, però darrere hi ha d'haver alguna cosa que ho mou. Darrere cosa a partir de la gent o probablement els mandataris que donen el següent pas. Si és només simbòlic és un TikTok, que està molt bé, al cap de 2 segons n'hi ha un altre. I és simbòlic en aquest moment, sí, perquè estic convençut que tota la gent que va a l'estadi demà, que anirà a l'estadi o que estem aquí, jo no em puc imaginar una persona una persona en aquest món que pugui defensar això. No m'entra al cap. I no estic, jo conec jueus, tothom en coneixem, coneixem gent d'Israel. Jo no he hagut cap que ho defensi, les imatges que veiem.
What about the images from October 7th? Have you defended them, Pep? What have you had to say about that? We'll get back to October 7th in a moment from this hypocrisy.
I com un està muntat, que gent que mana els governs, sigui Netanyahu, sigui Trump, sigui Zelensky, sigui Trump, sigui Putin, sigui el que sigui, que no em poso... Perquè no és posar-se davant d'algú, de qui té raó.
Why don't you mention the Arab and Muslim leaders? Why don't you mention Hamas leaders when you talk about politicians, supposedly corrupt politicians, Pep?
És que veuen les imatges i els nostres fills podien estar allà. Jo m'imagino els meus fills estan allà i que els assassinen només perquè han nascut allà. No, perquè hi ha un conflicte de...
Not because there's a conflict. Not because there's a conflict. They're just being killed because they're there. Assassinated, as he said, just because they're there. No, no, no. Not just because they're there, because they invaded Israel and they took 250 people hostage. This is why football managers should not be speaking about these issues, okay? Or people who don't understand the issues. I like Pep. I like his football. I like his tiki-taka. I liked his Barcelona. I like his Manchester City. He's not a bad person, but he's an idiot. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
De fam... Per això estan els que ho arreglin.
No hunger. There wasn't any hunger.
Aquí. No només de milers de vides, en aquest cas, centenars de milers de vides. Ja no parlo d'escoles i infraestructures, de ser humà que justifiqui una barbaritat, una barbària com aquesta. No ho justifica.
Digues, Pep, digues.
No, digues.
Que creus que això no va, pel que interpreto, que no va de països, que això va de mandataris, i en aquest cas de Netanyahu, directament.
Sí, però jo tinc poca fe. Com va el món els darrers anys, ho hi ha hagut sempre, hi ha poca fe amb els mandataris que ho puguin fer. Però els mandataris jo crec que tenen la intenció de fer-ho bé, d'arreglar que la gent pugui viure millor, ja no dic en pau, ja no dic en aquest cas, sinó la gent pugui millor. Però jo no hi entenc, però darrere hi ha uns interessos tan grans que al final no poden fer altra cosa que...
That's the thing, yeah, you're right. You don't understand anything about it. You really don't understand anything about it. That's why you should shut your mouth.
Altra cosa de seguir uns poders fàctics que estan per darrere que fan que els mantinguin al poder, que el poder només el que pretén és seguir en el poder. Tant de bo fos per canviar les coses. Ens demostra darrerament el que ha passat en els últims darrers anys, sigui a Ucraïna, perquè ja no en parlem, i els anys que fa que es mou. I et prometo, és que no em poso a banda de ningú. Bueno, en aquest cas sí, em poso a banda absolutament de...
See, so in the case of Ukraine, he doesn't even take a side after Ukraine was invaded by Russia. But in this case, with Palestine, I'm absolutely on the side of Palestine. Jesus, guys.
De Palestina, la gent innocent que és assassinada diàriament perquè el senyor Netanyahu decideix doncs, el que decideix. Perquè si no té la capacitat de poder-ho solucionar a través de la parada, els gestos, els simbolismes que deies, i només a través de la força, que un té un poder d'armes poderosíssim i l'altre no en té, doncs ja m'explicaràs.
Oh, solve through gestures, because you give me an example when the Muslim Brotherhood, the jihadists of the Muslim Brotherhood were pacified through gestures. Mr. Guardiola. This is an own goal also because all the money is going to go into Gaza and nothing is going to change in Gaza. Hamas are still in charge. They still have weapons. They still want to annihilate Israel. They're going to take all the aid, siphon off all the aid, and use it to launch their next war against Israel. And then when Israel responds, you'll talk about the people who were just born there. Their only crime was that they were born there and that Israel is deliberately targeting them, supposedly, according to Guardiola, including the footballers. Because I'm sure when they sit in the bunker, the Israelis, and plan their strikes, then they look for people who played for crummy clubs inside Gaza to target and murder, to assassinate, as he said, deliberately. Isn't that true, Pep Guardiola? And I want to finish with one more thing, because I said I'm going to get back to October 7th, and this is very, very important, and showcases the hypocrisy of people like this. Do you know who this person is? Any idea? If you can speak a bit of Hebrew, you can see that maybe there is some Hebrew writing over there, and that it says Hapoel Tel Aviv. That's one of the clubs that he played for. This man's name is Lior Asulin, and he was a footballer in Israel. Played for a bunch of clubs. And where was Lior Asulin on October 7th? After he'd already retired from football, but he was an ex-footballer and a very prominent one, he was at the Nova Music Festival, where he was murdered by Hamas, a footballer. Did anyone say anything about it? Did they hold any vigil in UEFA? Did they talk about it? Was there any solidarity, any symbolism, supposedly, about the subject? No. And you want to hear another interesting thing about Lior Asulin? Another crazy thing? Do you know what his most famous moment was as a footballer? His most famous match? It was the final of the Israeli Cup, 2004. He scored 2 goals in the cup for his team, and that team won their first ever cup in the Israeli football system. And what was the team? What was the team that Lior Asulin played for? Do you know? Bnei Sachnin. And who are Bnei Sachnin? An Arab town. A team from an Arab town. A Jewish footballer scored the winning goal in the final of the cup, 2 goals in the final, for a team representing an Arab town, a team with Arabs and Jews playing together in the apartheid Israel, supposedly. Sachnin, they were the first club in Israel from an Arab town, the first Arab club to win a title in the system, whether league or cup. And Lior Asulin was an integral part of that. Because that's what happens in apartheid Israel. Jews play in clubs of Arab towns. Arabs play in clubs of Jewish towns. Play together in mixed cities, like Maccabi Haifa, that's always had great Arab players in their roster. The national team of Israel that has Arab players in their roster. Lior Asulin, who played for an Arab club in Israel and scored the winning goal, and there's footage of it. And they're all celebrating together. Maybe you could have highlighted that a little bit if you wanted to do solidarity. Instead, you just go on your hate rage rant against Israel while taking money or gathering money, collecting money, I don't know what I'm not using the right word. Anyway, the proceeds from the match going to rebuild Gaza when Gaza hasn't changed and are going to do the same thing again. Guardiola, you might be a good manager, but you've scored a massive own goal on this one. Stick to football, please.